Sharky Zartman is going to be joining us momentarily to talk about her book that she just co-authored, Hey Sports Parents. So it kind of gives you the do's and don'ts and all the above.
Okay. I mean,
about kids and youth sports.
I've been there, done that.
Right.
Didn't write a book.
You are a seasoned pro, and you should have written a book.
Yeah, could have. I let Linda write the book, actually, but that's okay. That's me and Sharky. And that's why we have you, because now you're in the middle of it. You're really starting it.
Yeah.
Well, no.
You're
doing some things.
Right. She's gotten through.
Yep.
Son is in the middle of it.
Yep.
Not sure how this is going to unwind, but I got to tell you, for one, when I'm out there and he's playing football,
right,
I do cringe, and I do wait for the next helmet to helmet. You hear that noise, and you're just like,
Yeah, I mean, I remember those days very well. I mean, I've had three boys. All three played football.
Multiple sports.
Football. They all varsity football. They were all varsity lacrosse.
Right.
2 of them were varsity basketball.
Wow.
1 was wrestling.
Wow.
So yeah, all the physical sports they
right.
played them.
So all the contact sports. So, like I said, some of the things that go on in my mind, you had to do that times 3.
Yeah, but in some ways, we are a slightly different generation. So we grew up looking at football on TV.
Right.
And, you think they had the microphones in the helmet sometimes when you heard that cacao.
That is true.
Not that it made it better, because it's always on our minds when we're out there looking at the children, looking at the youth, saying, all right, we don't want anyone to get hurt, But especially some sports, they are aggressive sports, so all the precautions have to be taken. Fortunately, none of mine took anything serious within football or within their sports directly, but there were other incidents, concussions out there. It has happened, and you just deal with it.
Big shout out to Global Community Radio, WRAQ, and of course WGBB 1240 AM. Rich, as much as you give us that warmth and the fuzzy feeling of being a parent out there and dealing in contact sports, I call BS on you, my friend.
Go ahead, call BS on me.
I call BS on you.
Go ahead.
That's about as far as I can go. I can say BS because it could be the business of sports. But no, I'm telling you, it's like you're out there, and so you've gone through what I'm going through when you're sitting out there in all the practices.
Yep.
And it's 90 degrees.
Yes.
The sun.
Well, yeah, I wasn't even taking into consideration the heat element,
the wear and tear,
yeah.
And you're sitting there, and I got to tell you, this past summer, a couple of occasions, I said, no, you're going to sit this one out.
Oh, okay. All right. See, I don't know, maybe we had a really good sports, really, really good coaches, experienced coaches in the school. They were always, guys, fluid, hydrate.
Yes, and
they were always good about that. So, I mean, to the best of my recollection, we never had any incidents, with the children, even just with the heat stroke situations, things like that. So a lot of that does have to do with the coaching.
No, it does. It does. And just sometimes, like once the football season is over, we want to have the coach of the Hempstead Raiders up here,
nice.
Him and at least maybe 1 or 2 of his assistants.
Okay.
But I got to tell you, yes, you got to stay hydrated. The coaches do a great job, but sometimes as a parent, you overrule.
Well, yeah.
Whether or not your son or your daughter is going
Sure.
to participate in this, contact type sport.
You know your child.
Right. You know your child. And like I said, you step outside and you're like, it's 90 plus degrees out here.
Right.
There was one time this past summer. I don't know if it was spring, late spring, or early summer. They were doing laps.
Okay.
They were doing laps, and they were all able to break.
Okay.
For like take a 10-minute break.
Good.
And my son ran over to the car.
Yeah.
And was like, "Yo, Dad, let's get out of here."
I'm done.
He was like, "Yo, I'm done." I said, "Yo,"
out.
I said, "Do you have everything?"
Right.
He was like, "Yes."
Let's go.
I was like, "Yo, we're out." Because
Okay.
I was like, "This is brutal."
Okay.
Let's go get some ice cream.
Right.
Right? You know, but it's you know it's that piece of it, but it's also I mean maybe it's different. Just like my daughter was in volleyball
Right.
and basketball
Right.
and twirling,
Right. All indoor.
all indoor,
All indoor.
all indoors and extremely controlled.
Right.
You know, and most of the time she was involved in CYO.
Okay. Yep.
So CYO and you know once you get to the point of AAU is kind of like two different things.
It's a whole new ball.
It's a whole different ball game. So I just found myself I don't know. I just found myself just thinking like, okay, not that you're waiting for that issue to happen,
Right.
but
you're aware that it could.
You're aware.
That it
I
could.
think we're all aware more ever since the movies have come out, the concussion and certain things regarding some of these sports. So I don't know. I just get that feeling that how do I say it? I was just nervous.
Right. Okay. That's fair.
I was nervous, and I was just to the point of, okay, so how is this going to play out? But everything has worked out.
Right.
So maybe I'm looking for something to happen.
Right. Well, you can't say that it's not going to happen. You're just being maybe hyper aware of it.
Right.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You're just
Right.
concerned for your child's health. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Right. And there's been many times out there, the kid is taking a really hard hit in youth football, and both teams, the coaching staffs
Everyone
are
takes a
standing
knee.
over the kid, over the child. Everyone takes a knee,
Yeah.
and you're just sitting there on pins and needles, like,
Right.
is this kid going to get up, or is this going to be one of those situations
Right.
where there's something broken or something like that? I don't know. Like I said, but I will tell you this much: since we're talking about youth sports, it's appropriate that our guest is in the queue, Sharky Zartman. She's a college professor. She also was on an athlete for UCLA and the USA national team. She's a coach, a radio host,
Nice.
and an author of various books. The book we're going to talk about now is Hey Sports Parent. Sharky, how you doing?
I'm great.
Hey, Sharky. Thanks for joining us. This is Rich.
Yeah.
So, what is going on in your world, Sharky? Thanks for joining us. We just wanted, before we start peppering you with questions, we wanted to give you a minute to introduce yourself.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm Sharky Zartman, and you already, talked a little bit about me, but, I am very passionate about health, and so I teach health and fitness and yoga at the college. But I've also been in sports for most of my life, and I teamed up with Dr. Bob Weil to write this book, Hey Sports Parents, because we see a lot going on out there where, the kids aren't enjoying sports. About 70% of them are dropping out before they're 14 years old, and the parents are all stressed out, and we just wanted to write a book, something to help the situation. And so that's why we came together and put this out there.
All right. Well, that's an interesting background and good background information. So I'll just jump in on a statement you just made. So you say that it looks like more and more students are dropping out of sports early. What are some of the reasons for this, do you think?
The major reason, well, sometimes they find something else that they like. As you know, sports required a lot of time for practicing and competitions. And sometimes the kids find something else they're passionate about. They just lose interest. But a lot of times it's the pressure. The kids just don't like the pressure. They don't want the negativity. And a lot of them just don't want to do it anymore. So, yeah, I think that's that.
So, Sharky, I'm going to tell you, I'm the dad that's involved in youth sports with the children. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes I do get a little animated. So, so what do you do, or what advice would you have? What could we glean from your book, to prep parents like myself dealing with the wild world of youth sports?
Right. Well, I think for one thing, we need to just realize that we're gonna experience stress, whether we want to or whether we expect it or not. Just the fact that we're parents and our kids are out there and we can't help them when they're on the field or when they're on the court, and we just have to sit there and support. That is stressful. A lot of parents aren't used to dealing with that. They're used to controlling everything their kids does. And so, I think a lot of parents aren't really knowing that that's part of being a sports parent is, they have to kind of sit back and watch and support and control what they can control. And another thing I wanted to put out there is that, sports really should be about the kids. It's not their job. And, I see a lot of times parents forcing their kids into sports. And as a coach, I can tell you that's the worst kind of kid to have on your team, is a kid that doesn't want to be there. And so those are a couple things that, we talk about in the book. And also, there's a lot more to be learned from sports if we just kind of step out of the way, because kids actually learn life skills that they can learn, that they can, actually use in their relationships and their jobs, and really important things, especially like accountability. I mean, we all need a double dose of accountability in our society these days, and sports actually helps to teach that, persistence, resilience, and yet a lot of times what adults tend to focus on is, are we winning enough? Championships. What about college scholarships? And to tell you the truth, the chances of kids getting college scholarships are very, very low. But there's all kids who play sports can learn these life skills and enjoy the sport. And I think parents need to focus more on what is happening with the kids, not what are my expectations for my kids.
All right, I think that's totally fair and totally correct. I mean, I also have, I've got 3 sons, so all of mine are out of college or in the middle of their college careers. And I do remember, those years standing on the sidelines of pick your sport, and, watching fathers and sometimes mothers, but who you could tell obviously were living their lives vicariously through their children. These were the guys. I played lacrosse when I was in school back then, and he's going to be just like me, and I want him out there, and yelling and goading and very animated, as Ted said, but to the extreme. And you at times wonder about the child, like, does this kid even really want to be out here? And you can see it in their eyes, and I'm sure as a coach, from your perspective, you can see that and experience that even more so. So right. I guess then, what advice would you give to kind of prepare parents for what to expect in youth sports?
What to expect? It's very hard to know what to expect because things come out of nowhere sometimes. I think that, coaches sometimes are problems with parents, and a lot of times the parent thinks they know more than the coach, and sometimes they do. But if you get into a conflict with your kid's coach and start telling him other things than what the coach is telling him, who's the kid supposed to listen to? Right. I mean, is he supposed to flip a coin? And, so it's, so that's a situation that comes up a lot, is the parents are not on the same page with the coach. The parents start criticizing the kid for what they're doing out there. That's the coach's job. It's not the, it's not the parent's job. And so I think terms of what's out there, there are a lot of opportunities for kids. There's so many more youth sports parents now than there were, back when we were playing. But along with that comes adjustments, and parents really need to start supporting their kids more in terms of, not controlling everything as much. When your kid's out there, you can't control what they do. You just have to support them, support the team, And when the parents start acting out in the stands, like what you said, that's embarrassing for the kids. Are you kidding me? I mean, the parents start yelling at the ref or the coach, the kid's embarrassed.
I got to tell you, both of you, I've seen the full gambit where we've been in a situation with the girls basketball team, and the opposing coach is screaming at the referee, gets thrown out of the gym, and I'm sitting here saying, okay, and you're supposed to be a role model for the team that you coach.
Right.
So there's that one piece. I've also seen with my son with youth football last season, the parents going at each other, and I'm just standing there like, oh my goodness, this is crazy.
I know. They're acting like kids. And the kids, I saw that happen once at a tournament. The parents were fighting with each other,
Yes.
with the referees over who won the game. And the kids were outside playing a game together from both teams. They were having a ball.
It was too much. And then I've seen the other aspect of it where my daughter's, I think it was her 9th grade team, I think they finished 2-9. Okay, so that's nothing to be proud of. But after the game, they're taking selfies with the other teammates.
Right.
And it's like they could care less.
Right.
I guess it's more about them. It's about the camaraderie. Number one, understanding the game, understanding the rules of the game. I guess going through that experience, and then having stories to share when you get older. Or when you see these people in high school or in college, it's funny. It's funny.
Right.
I do want to share this quick story. So my daughter played CYO basketball, and there was one year she got in the All-Star game, she got the MVP, and so it was like 13 points. It was like, I don't know, 11 rebounds, and I was like, okay, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So she then wanted to take that, because after that season ended, she wanted to go participate in the AAU league. Can I tell you there was a slap in the face?
Reality hits.
Reality set in.
Yeah.
Because I told her, I said, no longer your best friend is the coach of the team.
Right.
No longer your dad is the scorekeeper.
Right.
I said, this is
Exactly. Reality.
So reality does set in. Sharky, want to ask you the name of the co-authored guide?
Dr. Weil, Dr. Robert Weil. He's known as a sports doctor.
Okay.
And he's a sports podiatrist, and he did a great section on keeping kids safe from injury, overtraining, over specializing, and he does have a chapter on contact sports and CTE, and we have another chapter on that from two pediatricians, on contact sports and CTE. And I was kind of listening a little bit before I came on, and this is a huge problem.
Yes.
And I am just hoping that I'm a big football fan, so is my husband. He coached football. But I just have heard so many stories of these young kids, who are playing contact sports, and by the time they're 9, 10, they have issues, that are very, very serious. And so I really hope we can find something to make this sport safer for our kids, because I know a lot of kids want to play it, but I don't think as a parent, I have a grandson who's 5 who looks like he's going to be an amazing athlete,
Mm-hmm.
and my husband, who coached football for most of his life, just said, I don't want him playing football.
Wow.
But
Isn't that scary?
we're hearing and seeing that so much more.
Right.
Really, really Carrie. Hey, tell us about the Pep Talk radio show.
Oh, well, it's a pep talk.
Go team.
Go team, go!
Yeah, I'm trying to get people to get off their butts and take charge of their lives. I mean, too many people just let things happen to them, and they just, oh, well, you know. And hey, if you want to have a high quality life, you got to do something. You got to take charge. You stop complaining and, you know, blaming on everybody else. So that's my show.
Okay, that's fair.
That's great. That's great. Where can we find and listen to your show?
Just go to healthylife.net, and my show is at 10 a.m. on Fridays, and at specific time. I also have an archive page, and so we have shows archived there. And I love doing it. I love to get to talk to experts and doctors and authors, and it's fun. It's fun. I love it.
So Ted had mentioned something to me. Tell me about what is life as an adjunct. What is that?
Life as an adjunct?
Yes.
Okay, so an adjunct, I think you're referring to part-time versus full-time?
Correct.
What you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, I taught full-time at the college for 37 years.
Oh, okay.
And my mom got sick, and my daughter decided she wanted to start a family. So I retired from full-time, and now I'm an adjunct. So I'm part-time, which some people would say, oh, you're just part-time. And I go, well, you know what? It has enabled me for the last few years to do the things I really want to do, because I was in charge of one of the departments at the college when I was full-time. I didn't have time to do anything for anybody else. And so, you know, I wanted to be a part of my grandkids' lives, you know, help my mom. And so it all worked out. So an adjunct for me is good.
So you don't miss that full-time teaching experience?
Yeah, I did that for a long time, full-time teaching, coaching, and loved that, but didn't have much time for anything else. So, yeah. So adjunct is good.
Good. Glad you're enjoying it. Glad that you can get out there and enjoy your life and do things with your family and develop your own.
Right.
Sharky, what's the best ways to get in contact with you via social media? So we just...
Well, I do. I am on Facebook.
Okay.
I have Sharky's Pep Talk, a page there. I also have a page, Aging as a Sport, because I've written a few books on empowered aging and for the senior population. And people can contact me through my website, just sharkyzartman.com. And also, I always check my emails, sharkyzartman@yahoo.com.
Very good. Sharky, thank you so much for the information. Thank you for joining us, and we hope we speak to you again in the near future.
Okay, thanks. That was fun.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. That was interesting.
That was.
Related to our conversations, sports, the kids, keeping them safe, keeping them out there.
Don't all the conversations usually lead to this.
That's your job as executive producer, making these things happen.
Oh, my goodness.
But that was good.
No, that was really good. It's good because everything that I mentioned, and I know everything that you mentioned, is the truth.
Right.
I've seen the parents go at each other, and I'm standing like, really?
Right.
Are we really doing this?
With these 8th graders?
Right. Are we really doing this? And this was in front of 10-year-olds.
Right, and as she had mentioned, when that happens, when the parents are on the sidelines yelling and screaming and all that, the kids are out on the court or the field, whatever it may be, looking over like, I'm so embarrassed. My parent is yelling and acting like this, and behaving like this.
Yes.
And then, the parent should stop for a moment and think, what if my child was behaving like this?
Right.
How would I...
An excerpt from Extraterrestrial.